Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 10 of Collecting 101. And today we're going to talk about Hot Wheels. And of course, we got to talk about the history, the popularity, and the value of your Hot Wheel collection. So let's start off today with history. Alright, so let's go all the way back to 1968. And that is when the toy company Mattel introduced the Hot Wheels. Now, the first car to come off the line was the dark blue custom Camaro, and this was a part of what we know today as the Sweet 16, which were the original 16 cars that Mattel produced in that first year. And this was also the start of the Redlines series. Now, they get that name because the tires on the Hot Wheels actually had a red pinstripe going around them. Redlines now are highly collectible and very sought after by collectors. Now, the big difference between Mattel and their competition at the time, which was Matchbox, is Mattel used the hard plastic wheels, which allowed for the cars to roll easier and actually go a lot faster than the Matchbox cars. Now, in that first year, the Hot Wheels were a huge success. So much so that they pretty much changed the whole die-cast industry. Matchbox, which was the leader at that time, had to change their whole business concept and whole design concept of their cars, which is really an amazing thing for in the first year. So Hot Wheels were definitely hot right out the gate. Now, in 1969 saw the introduction of the Show and Go series, which included cars like the Torero and the Twin Mill. Now, by 1970, Hot Wheels was on such a hot streak that they introduced a new slogan called Go With The Winner, which was a direct shot at Matchbox. Also in 1970, they released 43 new cars, including the Sizzler, the Heavyweights, and they also introduced the Silver Series, which were 3 silver-plated cars that were only available through mail-in offer. Now, in 1972 and 73, they released 31 cars, but it was actually a very slow year for Hot Wheels. So after those 2 years, they never used most of those castings ever again, which makes those cars from 1972 and 73 so collectible. Now, in 1974, it saw them introduce the Flying Colors series. Now, this was really flashy decals and tampo printed paint decals as well, which again added a whole new look to the Hot Wheel. Now, in 1977, saw the end of the Redline series. So from 1968 to 1977, that Redline series is highly collectible and something all you guys should be out there looking for. Now, from 1977 to 1988 was called the Blackwall era. During that era, cars were made to go faster and to look more like their real-life counterparts during that time period. Now, in 1983 saw the release of the Real Rider series. These were cars made with real rubber wheels, but they didn't last very long on the market due to the fact of the high production cost for Hot Wheels it was. So obviously something that collectors do look for nowadays. Now, in the late 1980s saw a complete change in direction for the Hot Wheels packaging. They went from their original red and yellow look to the blue card look we all know today. Also during that time, they released the Thermal Color Changing series. Now, these were cars that when exposed to hot or cold temperatures would change colors. Now, they also released the Crash Panel during that time as well, which were cars that had the panels would flip on, so they would go from that normal look to more of a car accident look. Now, from 1989 to 1994 was the collector number era. These were cars released with their own special number, which made it really easy for collectors to collect. 1995 started the treasure hunt era, and it's really an era that's still going on today. These were cars that were made on a limited run and are highly sought after by collectors, but we're going to talk more about these in the popularity section of this video. In 1996 saw the start of the first edition series. Again, there's another one we're going to talk a lot more about in the popularity section of this video. In 1997, Tyco, the owner of Matchbox, was bought out by Mattel, the owner of Hot Wheels. So Hot Wheels bought their competition. It was a huge accomplishment at the time and pretty much solidified them as the leader in the diecast realm. Now, from the 2000s all the way until now, Hot Wheels have produced thousands of more cars. But they've started to dabble into the pop culture scene. And they started producing movie-themed cars like from the Fast and the Furious or Back to the Future. And TV series cars like Angry Birds or Scooby-Doo. Plus many more that they're out there doing. Hot Wheels have become a brand name worldwide. Now, because of this, they've also started to go into the entertainment world as well, producing movies and cartoons. I mean, the history of Hot Wheels is quite amazing. I mean, a very successful company that pretty much changed the whole game for their genre. So let's talk more about these in the popularity section. All right, so why are Hot Wheels so popular? Well, these cars were initially collected by kids in the 60s through the 80s. But when those kids in the late 90s started to get adult money, when you get adult money and you get into collecting, what do you always do? You go to collect what you had when you were a kid. So these kids started to go in and get into Hot Wheels. And not only were they getting into the vintage Hot Wheels, they were buying the current Hot Wheels. And my gosh, this hobby is so great to get into because the cars are not very expensive when you buy them off the shelf. They're $1 to $1.50. So I mean, it's a really affordable hobby to get into. So what I want to do today is I want to touch on 4 popular car series that I think you should start collecting, and I'm going to give you some examples of each. So let's start it off today with the Redline series. Redlines consisted of cars made from 1968 to 1977, and they're known for having the red pinstripe on the wheels. These are highly sought after by collectors and something you should definitely be out there looking for. So here's just 4 examples of some Redline cars I want you to be looking for. First is the Roger Dodger. Next is the pink Superfine Turbine. Then we'll talk about the 72 green Open Fire. And here is the 1971 Red's Old 440. Next, let's talk about treasure hunts. When treasure hunts were released in 1995, they came out as 12 cars per year on a limited run of 10,000 per car. Now, due to the demand increase on these, they actually had to change that in 2011 to 15 cars per year. Now, they also have what's called the Super Treasure Hunt. Now, these are cars that are on an even more limited run than the regular treasure hunts and are very sought after by collectors and are quite valuable on the market today. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I find these and what do I look for? Now, some of these packagings just say treasure hunt right on the car. Now, some of the other ones have these little labels that I'm showing you guys here that are hidden somewhere on the packaging to help you identify these treasure hunts. Now, if you're out there and you see loose cars, you're going to probably want to reference or get a reference book or go online to try to identify these cars to see if you have a treasure hunt or a super treasure hunt. Now, here are 4 cars I want to show you guys that are just examples of some treasure hunts out there. Now, the first one I'm going to show you is a 1995 edition of a 1967 Camaro. The next one was released in 2014, which is a 1971 Datsun. And then the other one was released in 2014 was a 1983 Chevy Silverado. And the last one I'm going to show you is released in 2011. It was the Honda S2000. Now, these are so few amount of examples of the treasure hunts. There's so many out there. And these are definitely some of the most collectible cars that are on the market for Hot Wheels today that are still getting released today. So if you're going to get into this hobby, treasure hunts are something you're going to definitely want to know about. So now let's talk about the original Sweet 16. The Sweet 16 were the first 16 original cars produced by Hot Wheels. It's pretty self-explanatory why they're so popular and collectible today. So I want to list you guys the 16 cars that you should be out there looking for of the Sweet 16. Let's start it off with the Beatnik Bandit, the Custom Eldorado, the Custom Camaro, the Custom Corvette, the Custom Fleetside, the Diora, the Custom Mustang, the Custom T-Bird, Hot Heap, Ford J-Car, Custom Cougar, Custom Firebird, Custom Barracuda, and then you got the Python. It's sometimes called the Cheetah because sometimes there is Cheetah printed on the bottom of the car, something that's very rare and something you should definitely be looking for as well. Then you have the Silhouette and the Custom Volkswagen. So guys, if you're going to be collecting Hot Wheels, those 16 cars, I believe, are a must-have for your collection and super popular amongst collectors. Now, let's talk about your first edition series. First editions are the first versions of casting for cars. So when they came out in 1996, they were a huge hit right off the bat. So these are something that's highly sought after by collectors and something that I think you should be out there looking for and are great additions to your collections. So here's just 4 examples of some first edition cars. The first up is the Hypermite. Then you got the Fright Bike. Then it's the Super Tsunami and the Backdraft. Now, these are all just 4 of small examples of these first editions out there. Now, I mean, obviously, when you're adding to a collection, these are something you can start collecting from back in 1996 all the way up until now. So, I mean, it gives you a lot to go for. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the custom Hot Wheels. Now, these Hot Wheels, I think, are the most interesting to me. People take these cars and parts and they interchange them. So they give certain cars different paint jobs or different looks or different decals or anything they do to them, or they just bring them back to life from junk. I mean, it's a really cool part of the hobby that people take these cars and spare parts they might have from other vehicles and turn them into this custom new car out there. Now these do sell. I know I've seen that they do sell pretty well out there as well, or they just look really good in your collection. So definitely I want you to be looking into that as well, because custom Hot Wheels are a really cool hobby that I think you'd be, it's something you might be really interested in once you get into the Hot Wheel hobby. So, all right guys, let's talk about value. Now, I want to preface this by saying from the year 2000 to 2021, 95% of those cars are only going to be worth about $1 or $2. The treasure hunts and super treasure hunts are where the money is. So those most of the time sell anywhere from $5 to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So that is going to be what you're going to want to look for to bring value to your collection. Now, the Redline series we talked about from 1968 to 77, those in package or not in package always bring good money. So definitely keep that in mind. Those go anywhere from $10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So again, always be on the lookout for the Redlines. Those pinstripes around the reels are definitely something you want to look for. Now, past that, guys, I always try to look at the series cars with the first edition. So in the Show and Go series or the Silver series, those first year edition cars are really going to be what is going to hold the most value throughout the years. So always use eBay sold listings and online reference books to kind of get your best prices for these. And that's going to be my recommendation too, because those little variations and errors can really change the value in some of those cars. Now let's talk about condition. Easy peasy with Hot Wheels, guys. Keep them in the package. Keep all the decals there. They stay in mint, pristine condition, are going to hold the most value. Now, if you do have loose cars, those ones from the 60s and 70s and sometimes into the early 80s can still hold value. So don't just discard them like they're nothing. They're still good cars. They still display well, and they're still great for a collection. But again, like always, do your research, and that way you have the most knowledge. All right, so let's talk about my favorite part of this video, which is the top 3 most expensive Hot Wheels on the market. So let's start with number 3. Number 3 is a 1968 Cheetah Base Python. Now this was that car from the Redline series that had the cheetah base on the bottom I was talking about. Now this was in Hong Kong casting. I think there's only 10 or 15 out there. The last one sold for over $12,000. Number 2 is going to be the 1970 Mad Maverick. Again, it's one of those ones that's a very rare car. I believe there's only 10 out there, but the last one sold for over $15,000. Now, the number 1 on this list, the holy grail of Hot Wheels, is the pink rear-loading Beach Bomb. Now, guys, the last one of these sold for over $70,000. Now, this was a car that you could put surfboards into the back of the vehicle, but at the time when they produced it, they found out it wouldn't go down their supercharger playset they had at the time, the tracks. And so they had to scrap it and reproduce it. But there were still like 50 out there that employees got that have actually made it out into the world. So there's actually some out there to get. It's just something you definitely want to be on the hunt for, but it's one of those ones you probably won't find, but it's pretty cool to see the amounts. So I'm going to go up here, guys, and I'm going to say your best bet's going to be to hop on eBay. I'm going to show up some eBay listings. You guys can get some great cars on there for great prices. Easy ways to start a collection. And not only eBay with these, you can go to your local Walmarts, any department stores, and they still sell Hot Wheels all the time. It's a great hobby to get into. And like I talked about before, it's super affordable. I mean, if a kid's going to get into a hobby, there's nothing better than Hot Wheels because, it's cheap. The collections look good. Everything still looks good, and they can still hunt for these really rare cars out there that might turn into big money down the line. So definitely Hot Wheels are something that I think anybody can start collecting. All right, guys, that's our video for today. I hope you guys learned a lot. I mean, there is so much history on Hot Wheels. And again, the popularity of some of these cars are just crazy. And the collectors are nuts. I mean, over 1,500, usually cars per collector. I mean, that's just crazy. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you guys want to like this video, of course, comment below. What is your guys' history with Hot Wheels? I used to collect them when I was a kid. I mean, I loved Hot Wheels. I never cut them in the package, but I always had the tracks. Me and my brother used to play with Hot Wheels all the time, racing them and crashing them into each other. What is your guys' history with Hot Wheels? And of course, subscribe to the channel, guys. We've been having so many people stop into the shop saying they're subscribed, watching our videos. We appreciate it so much. We thank you guys all so much for that, the support. So, and of course, episode 11 next Tuesday is going to be on depression glass. So stay tuned for that one. So thank you guys all so much for watching. And you guys know when we talk about collecting, it's always about your memories over money. See you guys later.